Every legend starts somewhere unexpected. For Chris Hemsworth, it began far from the lights of Hollywood, on the wide Australian coast, where the air smelled of salt and freedom. He grew up between Melbourne and the Northern Territory, surrounded by nature and family. His parents worked hard, teaching him the value of humility and resilience. The Hemsworth boys, Luke, Chris, and Liam, were ordinary kids who surfed, played football, and sometimes dreamed about life beyond the horizon. Chris loved stories, and by the time he was a teenager, acting began to call to him. After high school, he started auditioning for Australian TV shows, hoping for one small chance to be seen. His first break came in 2002 with minor appearances in Australian dramas like Guinevere Jones and Neighbours. They were short scenes, but they opened the door. Then, in 2004, he landed the role that changed everything: Kim Hyde on Home and Away. The series made him a household name in Australia. For 3 years, audiences watched him grow from a boy into a confident young actor. Yet, as comfortable as success felt, Chris wanted more. He knew staying would mean safety, but leaving might mean history. In 2007, he packed his bags and left for Los Angeles. He had no major contacts, no guaranteed roles, and barely enough to live on. But he had determination, and that was more powerful than any script. Hollywood, however, was brutal. For 2 years, he auditioned endlessly and was often told no. Casting directors saw him as another tall, good-looking guy, not a lead. He questioned himself, but he kept pushing. Then, in 2009, he got a small but memorable part in Star Trek as George Kirk, the father of Captain Kirk. His emotional performance caught attention. The role lasted only minutes, but those minutes changed his career. Soon after, he received a call that would define his future. Marvel Studios was casting for Thor. Hundreds auditioned. The role demanded presence, humor, strength, and humility, all wrapped into one. At first, the studio was hesitant. Chris's younger brother Liam had auditioned too, but when Chris returned for another round, he nailed it. The moment he walked in, they saw Thor. The 2011 release of Thor introduced him to the world. With a hammer in hand and myth in his eyes, he became an instant star. The film grossed nearly $500 million worldwide and opened the gates to a universe that would change pop culture forever. Fans loved his mix of heroism and humor. He wasn't just another action figure. He had charm and vulnerability. It was that balance that made him stand out among superheroes. Over the next decade, Chris reprised Thor in multiple Marvel blockbusters: The Avengers, Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame. His performances grew more complex as his character evolved from arrogant god to wise warrior. But Chris didn't want to be defined by one role. Between Marvel films, he took on diverse projects. In Rush, he portrayed Formula One champion James Hunt, earning critical acclaim. In Snow White and the Huntsman, he wielded both sword and emotion. In the Heart of the Sea, he embodied a sailor's endurance. He proved that he wasn't just muscle and lightning. He was an actor of range, capable of carrying both action and soul. Yet Hollywood fame came with pressure. After back-to-back productions, the pace began to wear him down. He once admitted he feared being typecast or losing sight of his personal life. That fear became fuel for change. In 2010, he married Spanish actress Elsa Pataky. The two met through mutual friends and quickly connected over shared values: family, travel, and adventure. They welcomed their daughter India in 2012, followed by twin sons Tristan and Sasha. When fame reached its peak, Chris and Elsa made a bold decision. They moved back to Australia to Byron Bay, seeking peace and balance. Away from Hollywood's noise, he found clarity. The move reshaped his life. He began training not just for roles, but for health. His love of fitness led to creating Center, a wellness app and lifestyle brand that combined workouts, mindfulness, and nutrition. It was a shocking discovery. Instead of hiding it, he chose to share it publicly. The revelation became a turning point, reminding fans that heroes are human too. He decided to take time off to focus on his family and mental health, showing courage and vulnerability. When he returned to the screen, audiences noticed the difference. There was more depth in his interviews, more intention behind his choices. He no longer chased every role, he selected those that meant something. By 2025, Chris Hemsworth was more than an actor. He was an icon of balance, family, and self-awareness. His estimated net worth had reached over $130 million, but what mattered to him most was legacy, not luxury. He once said that real strength is the ability to choose kindness, even when you have power. That belief defines how he lives. He continues to support environmental initiatives, particularly ocean preservation. He works with organizations that combat climate change and helps raise awareness for wildlife protection in Australia. Back in Hollywood, his peers respect him not only for his talent, but for his professionalism and humility. Directors describe him as collaborative and fearless. Actors call him generous, and fans see him as approachable despite his fame. Looking back, his transformation is extraordinary. Then, he was a young Australian actor trying to make rent. Now he's one of the most recognizable faces in cinema, a father, an entrepreneur, and a global ambassador of wellness. His story reminds us that success isn't just about fame or fortune. It's about how you carry both and still stay grounded. His evolution mirrors the characters he's played. Like Thor, he started with ambition, faced failure, learned humility, and returned stronger. His career continues to evolve, balancing blockbusters with meaningful projects. Even with decades ahead, his influence already stretches across generations. Aspiring actors in Australia see him as proof that global dreams can start in small towns. Fitness enthusiasts follow his training routines, inspired by his discipline. Fans everywhere appreciate his openness about fear, aging, and growth. Through all of it, he never lost his love for storytelling. Each role, whether comedic, dramatic, or heroic, carries his essence, authenticity. Behind the muscle and fame is a storyteller who values truth, connection, and legacy. Whether he's swinging Thor's hammer or diving into deep-sea expeditions, his energy feels real because it comes from genuine passion. When he steps on set, he still carries the same excitement he had at 15, filming his first scenes on Home and Away. The difference now is wisdom and a global audience waiting for what he'll do next. Today, when people see Chris Hemsworth, they see more than a superhero. They see resilience, creativity, and compassion in motion. They see a man who turned opportunity into influence without losing his center. He continues to live in Byron Bay with his family, balancing world premieres with surfing sessions and school drop-offs. It's that duality, superstar and surfer dad, that keeps him relatable and admired. So when we look at Chris Hemsworth's journey, we see a portrait of evolution, then a hopeful actor chasing a dream, now a global icon who inspires millions to chase theirs. It's not just a Hollywood story, it's a human one about faith, perseverance, and knowing when to slow down. Chris Hemsworth proves that success doesn't change who you are unless you let it. The secret to his power isn't the hammer, it's heart. Which version of Chris inspires you most? The young actor from Home and Away, the fearless Avenger, or the mindful family man leading by example? Share your thoughts below, and remember, legends aren't born overnight. They're built through courage, consistency, and kindness, just like Chris Hemsworth. From the beaches of Australia to the galaxies of Marvel, his journey continues. And this is only the beginning.